I've been using the AirPods Pro for a little while now, and let's just say Apple didn't hold back. The phenomenal active noise cancelling, a wider soundstage that feels like stepping into a concert hall, those new foam-infused ear tips, heart rate sensing, better precision finding, and even better water and dust resistance. Sounds perfect, right? Well, that's what I thought too, because on paper, the AirPods Pro 3 sound unbeatable, but in real life, things got interesting when I compared them to the AirPods Pro 2s. I've been using both interchangeably, and by the end of this video, you'll find out if this upgrade is actually worth it or just another Apple illusion that looks great in marketing. Off the jump, you won't easily notice the AirPods Pro 3s have changed, but they've actually changed, just in that sneaky Apple kind of way, if you know what I mean. Iterative updates. The case is slightly bigger and the little cutout for the pairing light, gone. But don't panic, the light is still there, just hiding behind the plastic, and it's a little bigger and brighter this time. Flip it around and you'll notice something else. There's no pairing button anymore. Quick tip here, if you're pairing on an Apple device, open the case and double tap at the front. That's the new pairing gesture. Cool? Yes. Ideal? Not so sure, because there are times my tap didn't register. Moving to the AirPods themselves, there are a few subtle tweaks. The Pro 3s are just a tad bit longer and thicker, and the bulb, it's actually shrunk, giving you a sleeker and more streamlined fit. The ear tips also go in at a slightly different angle, and you'll notice that the moment you chuck them in your ears. Oh, and those vents on the sides, slightly bigger this time. I'm betting that's Apple's secret sauce when they claim your voice and that of the people around you sound more natural.
Now your own voice and people speaking to you will sound more natural than ever.
Now, personally, this hasn't worked in the best way for me, but more on that in just a bit. What has worked out well for me, though, are the new foam-infused ear tips. They mold better to my ears than the silicone ones on the Pro 2s, but there's a twist I'll explain a little later as well. Now, when it comes to durability, I've got to hand it to Apple. My Pro 2s have seen it all. I've stepped on them, they've dropped down a flight of stairs, they've copped a drenching from my sweat, you name it, but they're still going strong. Chipped, but still pumping out my favorite tunes and podcasts. Now, given that they're both made from the same material, I'd assume that will be the case for my AirPods Pro 3 a few years down the line. The only difference between the two as far as durability is concerned is water and dust resistance. The Pro 3s now have an IP57 rating, meaning they can survive a deep up to a meter for 30 minutes. The Pro 2s have an IP54 rating, so they won't do as well, but to be fair, over the last couple of years, they've encountered some really good splashes, but for some reason, they're still working fine. Now, given what we've gone through so far, on paper and even in hand, the AirPods Pro 3 sound like a solid evolution. The case is smarter, the fit is cleaner, and the IP57 rating gives them a bit of that superhero complex. But here's where things start to get interesting, because all that slick design and extra engineering only matters if they sound better. Remember a little earlier I mentioned the reduced size of the bulb didn't quite work for me? Well, here's why. When I first got the Pro 3s, everyone was raving about the noise cancelling. It's unreal, it's game-changing, but when I put them on, some of that outside noise was still leaking in, even with ANC activated. Turns out the smaller bulb fits a bit looser in my ears, but once I sorted that out, I got to experience that Pro 3 magic. Compare that to the slightly bigger bulb of the Pro 2s, and once I chuck them in, the seal is almost perfect without much readjustment. Now, to be fair, it's super subjective. Everyone's ears are different, and Apple's adaptive EQ makes it trickier because it tailors the sound according to the hearing test you did when you first set it up. So yeah, this is purely from my own experience and not spec sheet hype. Anyway, once I figured out the fit, the ANC magic on the Pro 3s is something else. The outside world disappears, and the moment I hit play on one of my favorite tunes, the deep controlled bass gives me some extra powers in the gym. Part of that is also because of the new foam-infused ear tips, but a lot of the magic is because of the tech under the hood. And look, I'm not an audiophile, but having played the violin in an orchestra for years, I've got a decent ear when it comes to tonal range. Let me play something simple. So when I say the notes below the middle C on the octave sound cleaner and rounder on the Pro 3s, I actually mean it. The bass is punchy, full, but still clean and not the kind that gets muddy. Now, to be fair, the Pro 2s are still right up there. Their bass still slaps, just a little less deeper compared to the Pro 3s. The same goes for active noise cancelling, but we'll park that for a second. Going back to the bass, as much as I love it, I really wish Apple let us tune it to our liking. But you know, it's Apple, so it's never happening. One thing I did notice though is once you lower the volume, the EQ quietly boosts the bass and treble. Then as you crank it up, those two start easing off. I compared that to the Pro 2s and noticed they stay relatively balanced even at higher volumes. Then at lower volumes, they pull back slightly, but they remain rich and flavorful. When it comes to active noise cancelling, like mentioned earlier, once you get the fit right, the Pro 3s are out of this world. Everything feels like it's got a bit more breathing room compared to the Pro 2s. Then I remembered Apple didn't just hype the sound. They called the Pro 3s A and C.
You will have the world's best active noise cancellation.
And that's where my curiosity kicked in because I've had bold claims from Apple before. Every year, every keynote, there's always some big claim that doesn't always live up to the billing.
Taking the biggest leap ever for iPhone.
So I had to ask myself, what does world's best actually mean when you're not sitting in a sound lab surrounded by graphs and decibel meters? Well, there was only one way to find out. Test it in real life. In my case, the gym and vacuuming the house with my vacuum cleaner sounding like a jet engine. The results, at this point, quite obvious. Again, like I mentioned earlier, once the fit is right, the Pro 3s shut out the outside world exceptionally well. Honestly, if transparency mode didn't exist, AirPod users would be the perfect modern day zombies. Jokes aside, comparing the two, the Pro 3s definitely edge out the Pro 2s. Now, to be fair, for the average listener, you'd be hard pressed to tell them apart if you don't have a really good listening ear. Sure, it's better, but not earth-shatteringly better. And that's where the amazing but not for everyone part starts to make sense. More on that a bit later in the video. When it comes to features, both are loaded. You've got the usual suspects: transparency mode, active noise cancellation, conversation awareness, adaptive mode, and most recently, live translation. Starting with live translation, when Apple first announced it, they made it sound like an AirPods Pro 3 exclusive. But here's the twist: as long as you're running iOS 26, your AirPods Pro 2 can also do it. If you haven't seen it in action yet, here's how it works.
I'd love to take some of these to my sister for her birthday. I'll buy 8, please.
Vale.
It's pretty handy, although right now it's limited to a select few languages. Now, the one feature that's actually unique to the Pro 3s is this little window right here. It's not just a design flair, it's a heart rate monitor and it integrates into the Apple Fitness app. If you don't own an Apple Watch, it's a pretty neat addition, but there's a catch. If you own an Apple Watch, the fitness app will prioritize data from the Apple Watch over the AirPods. Now, if you'd ask me, that kind of defeats the purpose. It would be a lot nicer if Apple gave us the option to choose where the data comes from. Oh, and the precision finding? Talk about clutch. Thanks to the new ultra-wide band chip, you can find your AirPods from 50% farther. Now, personally, I'm quite lucky I haven't needed that feature yet, even with the Pro 2s. And now that there's a 50% increase in range, it gives me more confidence on when I'll need to call on Find My. Oh, and having mentioned the increase in range, it's also noticeable in the signal strength. For some context, with the AirPods Pro 2s, when I'm on the other side of the house, the signal drops in and out. But with the Pro 3s, even when I'm on the front lawn, the signal is still nice and crisp. Another area where the Pro 3 has more range is battery life. The Pro 2s have up to 6 hours of listening time on one charge with ANC, whereas the 3s have up to 8 hours. That extra juice will come in clutch during those long flights. Other than that, everything else is pretty much identical, which brings us to the question, is it really worth the upgrade? Before we unpack that, let's talk some tips and tricks. When it comes to tips and tricks, here's one most people don't know. You can actually use your AirPods as a camera control device. By simply going into Bluetooth, selecting your AirPods, then scrolling down to camera control, you get the option to either press and hold or press once to activate that feature. Once you've done that, you can snap a photo or start a video with your AirPods. Another cool trick is using your AirPods as a microphone for your recordings, just like I did for this section. If you'd ask me, really handy if you're a solo creator or you just don't want to do that awkward run and pause before the timer runs out. We've all done that at some point. Now, to be honest, I always thought this feature has been around for ages, but apparently the mic is only used for calls and Siri. The ability to use it as a microphone only showed up after iOS 26. To do that, open the camera app, then roll out the drop-down menu. Under the camera controls, change the mic input to your AirPods and you're good to go. Tips and tricks aside, after using both of them for a while, here's the truth. The AirPods Pro 3 are amazing, but, and this is a big but, not everyone is going to feel the difference. If you're jumping from the standard AirPods or the original AirPods Pro, then it might be worth it. You'll notice the cleaner soundstage, stronger noise cancellation, and a better fit overall. But if you're already on the AirPods Pro 2s, the difference isn't going to be that significant. The AirPods Pro 2 sound just as good, and at this point you can find them discounted on places like Amazon. So, do you need to upgrade? Not really. And that brings us full circle to what I said at the very beginning. It's amazing, but not for everyone. Well, there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. If you're thinking of upgrading to the iPhone 17 Pro, this video will be of much help. Until then, people of the internet, see you over here.